and take a shower. Get all the extra hair off our body and on to the rest of our day. But before then, get some of this hair off. Ooh, this is an interesting way to start our day in the desert. Already though, I feel so much more refreshed. Sometimes you just gotta do something a little crazy to start your morning. Before we can go and do that, we have to put our wet shoes, because it's been raining, under the seat. Time to take these down. And it is a much better day today. The fact is, sometimes you just need to lighten your load, feel a little bit better about life. So that's kind of what we're doing this morning. We're starting off with everything going a little slower, but at the same time, we're getting a lot done, and already I feel so much better. It's amazing how just a haircut on the road can bring you back to life and bring you back to your everyday function. Sometimes we get a little weighed down by just the normal things. And so doing something like doing your hair or something like that can really bring you back and refresh you and reinvigorate you and make you feel good about yourself. So with that said, we're putting away all of our window stuff, and I'm gonna go find a Planet Fitness so we can take a shower, and then we'll find a really cool adventure today, because now I'm feeling more adventure-y. Before I was kind of feeling sluggish and slow. The rain the past couple of days has really kind of just got me into a weird moment. And normally if it's raining, I would just move on to another location, but I'm really enjoying the Phoenix area, and I'm not quite finished with all the places I'm gonna go just yet. So with that said, I am doing a little bit of, okay, we can do this encouragement for myself. But with that said, let's get going. Okay, and just like that, we have a shower. Our hair is looking nice now. We're not itchy from all of the hair cutting, and it's time for us to figure out what to do. Now, a couple things. I didn't sleep great last night, which is kind of weird because normally I sleep pretty well, but last night, I don't know, I couldn't get settled. So I was kind of thinking I'd take a slower day today, but at the same time, it's a beautiful day, so I feel like I'm missing out if I don't do something. So I'm trying to kind of go through the different things that I look at when I'm planning adventures. Now, I haven't talked about this a whole lot with you guys, but there are some ways that you can find some inexpensive adventures, and also that you can save money on adventures. And this is kind of what I do. So I thought today's video, we would focus on how I kind of find things to do when I'm in an area. And there's a few resources that I turn to and use very frequently that I think you guys would really like if you're not already using them. So let's talk about them. You can see on my map here that I have mapped out the Sea Life Aquarium, which is actually on the far side of Phoenix from where I am right now. And with traffic, I would have to cross through 2 possible flood warnings because it's been raining here. And also, it's gonna be about a 45-minute trail to get there. Now, typically when I'm planning something, one of the first things I do is if I find something that's interesting, I go ahead and map it and see how long it's gonna take to get there, and if it's worth it to go to that location, if I'm gonna have time to fully explore it. Now, Sea Life stays open a little bit later, so technically I could go there and probably have a pretty fantastic day. But crossing 2 flood warnings doesn't sound great, considering that I already know that they have shut down some roads because of the bad weather. So I don't know if I necessarily want to be sitting in traffic while they're diverting us. So let's see what else we can find. I have a couple of other resources that we should check out. The first resource that we always check is Atlas Obscura. Atlas Obscura is a great one if you're looking for free or strange things to do. Also, Roadside America. Both of these have a lot of different things that you can find in various areas across the United States. It's a great database if you're looking for strange, obscure, and usually free things to do. Not to mention if you're looking for some interesting little bits of history like the old muffler men and things like that, you're going to find them here. But one of the things that I truly enjoy about Atlas Obscura and also Roadside America is that no matter where you are in the United States, you can pull up a map, find a dot, and usually find something kind of cool to do pretty close to you because it does have that map feature. So let's see what it looks like where I am. Now, as you can see on Atlas Obscura right here, there are 22 sites in the Phoenix area. And as you zoom in to that map, you can see what the different ones are. It appears that the closest ones to me are actually a Veterans Memorial, which is really cool, but it does say in the description that it really comes to life once per year. So it's just going to be something kind of neat to see today. There's not going to be any really randomly cool things going on. And there's also a cabin. This cabin is actually located on a property that is open today. However, it is also in one of the flooded areas, so that doesn't look like it's going to be the best thing to do. However, you can also see on Atlas Obscura, as you read through, you can find user reviews as to what they thought about the location, also if it's open or closed, or if there's special directions for parking. A lot of people will also take their own photos and post them, and so Atlas Obscura is a really good win for me usually. However, today it looks like it might be a little bit of a miss just because there's nothing near me that's in a safe area to go to. So let's check out Roadside America. Now, as you can see, Roadside America, you can just put in Arizona and you see tons of pins. And these are all really fun because I like how they have a little blurb on them. And sometimes I prefer the history that's offered on Roadside America to Atlas Obscura, although sometimes Atlas Obscura does give you a bit better overall perspective also. So there's a give and a take with both of them. But as you can see here, there are a few sites on Roadside America that seem to be a bit closer, including the world's first retirement center museum. What? That's interesting. It says here that in the 60s that this place right here was actually opened, and it's kind of interesting to see and read the history on this one. Now, is it something that's going to be the most brilliant experience? I don't know, but this is how I find a lot of obscure places, and for the first few years of travel, this is how I found a lot of the cheaper, if not free, attractions that I would visit. These two sites are both great resources, and so we're going to keep these in mind, but let me show you a couple other things that I use whenever I'm planning an adventure when I'm in an area also. Have you heard of a city pass? A city pass is something that a lot of people do not know about when they travel, but they absolutely should. I stumbled upon this whenever I was in the Seattle area after I'd already gone to several attractions, and then I noticed there was a sign saying, "Do you have a city pass?" I had no idea what that was. I looked it up and realized that I could have saved so much money if I would have used this thing as opposed to going to each individual museum. Now, different cities have different versions of these, and typically what they do is they lump several attractions together. They give you a time window anywhere between 5 and 7 days to use this pass, and it allows you to go to a lot of attractions that are typically more expensive for a discounted price, and it's all rolled into one pass. Let me show you the one that's here in Phoenix. Now, as you can see here, this is the attractions pass that they have for the Phoenix area, and it includes some pretty cool things. Now, one thing that is a little bit different about this one than some of the others is it does have full admission to some things, but a discounted admission to one thing, medieval times. Medieval times you get 30% off as opposed to it fully covering the cost, and that's probably because they have some upgraded features that are also available that they want to kind of give you those options to customize your experience. However, there is the zoo, the science center, and also the Sea Life Aquarium on here, which are all super, super cool and things that I would definitely want to go to. Now, let's break down some of the expenses. If I was to go to just the Sea Life Aquarium by itself, it would cost anywhere between $16 and $28, depending on the time of year, the day that I'm visiting, and the age of the person coming. So I would probably be more in the $20 to $25 category at any given time, depending on if I use a booking service or if I paid at the door. Now, the zoo itself is a $40 experience almost. So if you're adding up 20 and 40, you've already gotten to $60 for 2 attractions. But then you also have the added bonus of Legoland. Legoland is also included in the general admission for this, and typically that costs around $30. Now, I was kind of looking at prices on different sites based on how you can book things, and this seems to be the consensus, is about $30 for an adult ticket on an average day. And so right now that brings us up to $90 for 3 attractions. But then also you have the Science Center, which is another expense. You can see how this quickly adds up and ends up being a much bigger price tag than the cost of just getting the attractions pass. But here in Phoenix, they also have something called the Pogo Pass. And the Pogo Pass is very similar to the City Pass, but it has a lot of smaller attractions on it. So it has mini golf, and it has some of the little bowling alleys. It has some of the kids centers. It also has some some of the restaurants, some of the places in different areas other than just Phoenix. For example, I was able to find attractions not only in Phoenix proper, but Mesa, Tempe, Scottsdale, and all the way down to Tucson on one Pogo Pass. Now, the Pogo Pass does have a variety of different options, and based on where you get it, you could pay up to $149. However, I noticed whenever I am currently visiting that they have discount codes that allow you to get it for $59. So $59 for a whole slew of attractions for general admission for one person. You definitely end up saving a lot of money. Now, I think here on the channel you've seen me go to 100,000 million different kinds of places, and of course I only have like 1,000 videos, so that's a little overestimation. However, I do utilize these particular sites in order for me to make these more affordable. That way, whenever I'm going to a place, I can find free attractions, I can find cheap attractions, and I can figure out how to bundle things so that my cost is much more minimal. Being on the road, you have to find ways to do the things that you want to do, but also to be able to save money so that you can do more of those things. So these are 3 things that I definitely suggest to you guys if you're looking to get out and do stuff in an area that you're visiting. Now, in the major metropolitan areas, these city passes or city access passes or attraction passes are pretty commonplace. In fact, you can go to City Pass Direct, and they have cities like Dallas and Seattle and Atlanta and New York and even Chicago on there, and so you can see a lot of different things. But each individual state usually has a version of these in some capacity, and so just whenever you're looking to visit a place, look up City Pass and then the city that you're in. It will show you what their version is. For example, this being the attraction pass here in Phoenix. So after that, what's next? Well, then you go into your map and do the same thing that you did with the first 2 sites. Figure out which one is the closest, what works best for you, and figure out your schedule so that you can get the most bang for the buck using that pass. I think that that's the most interesting thing to me is some days I'll go to a place and I won't need to be there all day because it's a large attraction, but it's not large enough to monopolize the entirety of the day. Sometimes I can get in 2 museums in a single day. Sometimes I can get in a whole zoo and maybe a smaller thing. And I think that that's the biggest thing that I personally enjoy is just filling my life with experiences that I can share with you guys. And this is part of the reason why I suggest these things to you. I know that a lot of times the price point can be very discouraging to us as we're traveling, especially if we're on a budget. However, there are ways that you can maximize your fun without having to break the bank, and these are things that have been helpful to me in my past 6 years of travel. Now, every so often I will go and I'll just spend full price for admission, but if there is by any chance an option of one of these 3 things having a discount in any way, shape, or form, I definitely take advantage. But there's one other thing that I highly recommend. If you aren't traveling solo, check out Groupon. Sometimes Groupon is okay for a solo individual, but a lot of times by bundling tickets, they'll give you a lower admission cost. For example, I learned whenever I was traveling a lot in the Branson area that some of the attractions that I would want to do might have like a $40 price tag. But when I'd go on Groupon, they'd have them for $19. So check it out. Make sure you read all of the criteria though, and make sure that whenever you're coming, it is actually covered. Now, Groupon does have a small section on all of their ticket purchases that has like a little thing that tells you about the criteria for use. Make sure you read that and make sure it aligns with when you're going to be there. A lot of times though, if you book in advance, you can get some pretty good deals on Groupon. And especially whenever I've traveled with my mom, my dad, or even my friends, I've been able to get us into places much less expensive than a single ticket would cost if you just paid at the door. Now, what about local coupons? They do have those in a lot of places, but I will say this. From my experience, unless you're spending a long amount of time in a single area, a lot of times they're going to get the most out of this coupon book and you are not. The coupon books that I have found previously have been sold by sporting organizations or by kids that are trying to raise money for schools and things like that. Sometimes you can find those also at the Chamber of Commerce, but again, it's going to be based on grouping these kinds of things. The Pogo here is the most similar to one of these coupon books that I have seen, and it seems to have a lot of value because there are so many things that you can do and the prices vary so much up and down. However, the individual coupon books sometimes are like 20% off of an appetizer or $5 off of an admission. those usually are not the best deal overall. They're giving you a little bit of a discount, but you have to pay up front to receive that discount. And unless you use a lot of those discounts, because those are places you're already planning on going, they usually get the better deal versus you getting the better deal. So I would suggest avoiding those unless it is one that's more similar to the Pogo Pass, which gives you more actual general admission and less discounts. And I know you're probably saying, but discounts are discounts. That's good. But if you're having to go out of your way to go to a specific place to bring business to them, and they're only giving you 10% off of a drink that you might not be purchasing otherwise, then ultimately that's not the best way to find balance in your budget. You're looking for the things you already want to do and getting those things at a cheaper cost versus having to go out of your way to spend more in order to save more. Don't become the customer of yet another place. Make sure that you're already blanketed with your discounts. Now, last but not least, the thing that I would suggest if you can't find anything on these is go to Google. I know it sounds really generic, but believe it or not, I find a lot of cool things on Google. I will just go and type in things to do in Phoenix or things to do in XYZ wherever I am. And I'll look up all of the different things that pop up, and usually they prioritize a good grouping of different kinds of things. So for example, look at this. This is things to do in Phoenix right here, and you'll notice there are museums, there are hikes, there are cool places to go, there are nature centers, there are zoos. So it gives you a nice grouping of different things that you might be interested in to kind of pique your interest. Now, after I do this, I then go and I Google again and say discounts too. Be careful when you do this. Make sure that it is a related link to the actual place in order to find that. You need to be able to purchase your tickets direct and it be an official ticket. There are a lot of sites out there that will mask themselves as ticket sales. Make sure that you confirm that the ticket is in fact going to be valid. Now, a lot of times, again, this will take you to like a Groupon and you can save money that way because Groupon is a reputable source. However, make sure you're not buying something from a third party that's scamming you. Just read through everything. You have to be diligent whenever you're looking into things like this because otherwise you will be the one that's losing out. And I don't want that for any of you guys. These are all things that I've had to learn somewhat the hard way in certain instances where I've thought that I had a really great deal going on only to realize that I purchased something that wasn't recognized by the place. Not fun. Not fun at all. Also look into Google and see if there are any free days available. Believe it or not, a lot of places do offer free days. Sometimes it's just for locals, but other times it's for anybody who comes after a certain time or anybody who comes on a specific day. For example, there are a couple museums here in the Phoenix area that have like the last Tuesday of the month you can come in and have free admission. Or there was a place that I found that had free admission after 3 for certain groups. It was kind of interesting to see how many of those were available in this larger city area. So definitely look into that as well. It's something that I do, and believe it or not, I've gotten into some super cool places just because I decided to come on some random Tuesday. The last thing I want to add to this video is if you are in an area, just explore. Sometimes just doing a good drive around can really make a difference because you might find something that just sticks out and goes, ooh, come see me. Now, I realize that a lot of times we don't want to spend our gas just driving around, but it never hurts if you're going to be in an area for a while to kind of get the lay of the land. I always do that whenever I go to state parks, national parks, and then also cities, just so I can kind of know what's around me, what I might want to do. And also it kind of gives me a spatial awareness of if I did need to leave, where could I go? Like realistically. Along the way, I have found some great restaurants in this way where I've just been cruising around, something looked good, and I went, ooh, yes, let's go there. I've also found a couple of other places. In fact, you saw one of them on the channel just a while back. We found the Wildlife World, and that was just simply found by driving down the road, looking over the side and seeing some animals I wanted to pet. You might be surprised how many things that you can find whenever you just turn on your awareness and kind of take to the road and look around just a little bit. I think it's very important for us to be vigilant and also to be aware of our surroundings anyway. So this kind of just goes right along with that. And with that said, get out, find something that makes you happy. Do something to freshen your look. feel good about yourself, and then just go and explore and experience life. I hope that my tips to you guys that I've learned over the past 6 years are handy, and that you'll start implementing some of these into your world. Remember, free campsites are great, free attractions are better, and free fun is never something that you're going to want to miss. Until next time, guys, remember, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time. And I am here to say that in 6 years of travel, I found lots of good time because of these sites. Until next time, guys, bye. P.S. All of these are completely free. You should never have to just pay so that you can find things. Don't pay to simply find things. Just go, explore, and use the resources that we have, and then make your money stretch a little bit further by making smart decisions.